So 15 centimeter is the height of the organism, and that is the length, and it can stretch up to 30 centimeters when required. It is olive green in color, and the body is divided into 33 segments. Now I'm bringing the camera closer. If you see, you can see the segments of the leech over here, right? So there are 33 segments, and each segment has superficial 2 to 5 annular rings. Superficial rings in each segment also you can find. The anterior part of the body is narrow, which bears a ventral triradiate mouth. If you look at it here, you can see the triradiate mouth, right? And it is surrounded by cup-like suckers. So you can view the suckers over here, right? So these are the suckers that we find in the leech. The posterior part bears a large posterior sucker. So at the end also there is a sucker, and it has a mid-dorsal anus. Just in front of the sucker is the anus that is present. The suckers, they actually help in locomotion and also in adhering to the body of the host to take their meal. What is their meal? Blood is their meal. Leech is hermaphrodite but shows cross-fertilization. Hermaphrodite means both male and female present in the same body. So it is hermaphrodite, right? If we talk about the diagnostic features, it is slimy, elongated and segmented body, and the presence of anterior and posterior suckers are found, right? So that's about leech or Hirudinaria, right? We move on to the next organism, and the next organism is prawn, right? So prawn is the next organism, which is again, we can say it's a nice food for the people who love seafood, right? So it's a good seafood if one loves eating the seafood. So that's about the prawn that we will talk about. So again, here talking about the prawn, Palaemon is the name, and it belongs to phylum Arthropoda, right? Phylum Arthropoda, and class Crustacea. Palaemon is the genus, and Malcol misoni is the species. So talking about the features of Palaemon or prawn, it occurs in fresh water such as rivers, ponds, lakes and swamps. The body is covered and is about 5 to 18 centimeters long, right? It is distinguished into cephalothorax, that is the head region, cephalothorax, which is fused. The head and the thorax is fused, and it has a long abdomen, right? So the cephalothorax is dorsally covered by a hard carapace. Now if we enlarge this region here is the carapace, right? That's the carapace that is present, and it extends as a serrated process called rostrum, right? So the rostrum is also found. Cephalothorax, it bears 8 pairs of segmented legs, right? So you can see here the segmented legs. The legs are all segmented. The segments can be seen over here. So there are 8 pairs of legs found, and on pair each of antenna, antennules, stalked compound eyes are formed, right? So if we look at here, you can see the eye of the compound eye of the organism. The one that is shown in black is the compound eye of the organism, right? Abdomen consists of 6 segments. So if we look at the abdominal region, here this is the abdomen, right? The abdominal region consists of 6 segments, right? And these 6 segments are very well labeled, right? Now if you look at the diagram here, you can see how well the 6 segments are labeled, right? So it consists of 6 segments, and with one pair of paleopod, each used for swimming. You can see there are structures that are present, looks like leg, right? These structures, they look like leg. You can see here, these are the paleopods. Here I'm enlarging it. You can see these feather-like structures that you see. These are the paleopods that are used for swimming. Prawns are unisexual. Male and female sex organs occurs in separate individuals. So if we talk about the diagnostic features, they are brown colored, spindle shaped. You can see the color very clearly, brown colored, they're spindle shaped. You can see the body is pointed at the 2 ends, and here you can see the body is pointed at the 2 ends, and if you see the central region is broader, right? So we can say that they are spindle shaped, right? Then cephalothorax. Now this region here, this is the cephalothorax region, and this is covered with the structure which is known as the carapace, right? Abdomen is 6 segmented. So this region here, this is the abdomen region, and as I showed you in the diagram, there are 6 segments that are present, right? So that's about prawn. And now we come to the next diagram, the next specimen, and the next specimen is the silkworm. So here this is depicting the life history of a silkworm, Bombyx morai, right? Bombyx is the genus and species is morai, and this also belongs to the phylum Arthropoda, right? So the general characteristics of the phylum Arthropoda, we know that this is the largest phylum in the animal kingdom, and jointed legs is one characteristic that we know about this particular phylum, right? The adult silk moth is about 2.5 centimeters long, and with 2 pairs of wings. Now if you look at the diagram here, you can see the adult silkworm, right? Silk moth basically, right? So it is big, 2.5 centimeters long, with 2 pairs of wings. You can see here the 2 pairs of wings that are present, 1 pair, and this is the other pair of wings. It is creamy white in color. So if we look at the diagram here, that is creamy, the specimen here, it is creamy white in color. The body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen, and it is covered by minute scales. Right, now if you look at the diagram here, the body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen, and there are minute scales that are present. Silkworms are unisexual. Male and female both are found. So you can see here, this is the adult female, and here this one is the adult male, right? So they are unisexual, adult male and female are found. Female moth lays 300 to 500 eggs in clusters upon the leaves of mulberry, right? So if you look at it here, you can see the eggs that are these here, these are the eggs of the silkworm, right? And how do they lay the eggs? The number of eggs that they lay is around 300 to 500, and in clusters means in groups they lay, and they lay it on mulberry leaves. The life cycle of the moth comprises of 4 stages. Now let's see. The first stage is the egg. The second stage is the larva stage. So this is the larval stage. You can see here the shape of the larva, right? So that is the larval stage. So you've studied about the caterpillar as such, right? So that's the larval stage, and then comes the pupa. Adult is the last stage, right? So pupa and then the adult is the last stage. You can see the lower part here, the pupa stage, right? This is the pupa stage, and here you can see here the pupa stage. This is the pupa stage, and then comes the adult stage, right? So the adult stage I've already shown you in the diagram. The adult stage, the pupa hatches out into an adult moth, right? So you've studied about the the lava that it undergoes, molting also, right? So you can see here the life history very clearly, the life cycle, right? The diagnostic features, if we talk about, the body is divisible into head, thorax and abdomen, presence of 2 pairs of wings. Let's concentrate here, right? The body is divisible into head, thorax and abdomen. It has 2 pairs of wings, right? Lava may form cocoon, right? So lava forms cocoon. So that's about the silk moth. And now we move on to our next specimen, and the next specimen is we can see here is the snail, right? Or we call it the apple snail, right? So the apple snail, or also the Pila globosa, another here specimen we can see here, Pila globosa, or the snail, right? Again, let's talk about the classification. If we talk about the classification, it belongs to the phylum Mollusca, right? Genus is Pila and species is globosa, right? Now, this organism, Pila, or the apple snail, is commonly found in freshwater streams. It is found in ditches, right? Lakes, rice fields, though it is aquatic but can live without water for quite some time, right? So that is one feature. So it has a soft body. If you look at the body of the snail, it is soft, slimy means a little slippery, and you can see the shell that is present over here, right? Here also you can see the shell of the snail, right? So these are here very clearly you can see the shell of the snail. So shell is coiled and calcareous. You can see the coiling that is shown over here, that is the coiling, right? So the shell is coiled and it is calcareous. Calcareous means it is made up of calcium. The opening of the shell is closed by a thick plate called the operculum, right? So this is the region. Here would be the operculum, right? So that is how it is closed. So this is here. This one is the operculum. So that is how it is coiled and opening is closed by a thick plate, that is operculum. The body is differentiated into head, foot, visceral mass and mantle, right? So now if we look at the structure, the mantle is the mass inside. So the body is divided into head, it is divided into head, foot and visceral mass here. That is the structure here. The head overhangs the foot and bears 2 pairs of tentacles and 1 pair of eyes, which is obviously not very visible over here. Foot is anterior and ventral, sole-like, used for creeping, right? So with the help of the foot it creeps. Sexes are separate with slight sexual dimorphism. Now what are the diagnostic features? That the shell is univalved and coiled. Only one valve is present, right? And it is coiled. Foot is muscular, broad. Head is distinct with eyes and tentacles. So that's about the snail. And now we will talk about our next organism or the specimen, which is, I'm sure by the picture itself, by the specimen, looking at the specimen, you would know what this is. And yes, this is the starfish or Asterias, right? Starfish or Asterias. It belongs to the phylum Echinodermata. All this while we've been talking about the invertebrates, right? So the organisms without the backbone. So that is phylum Echinodermata. The genus is Asterias and species is Rubens, right? So that's the starfish. It is, and the starfish is beautiful. And if you look at the shape, why the name starfish, that is the common name, and why the name starfish is given, because it resembles, the shape of the fish resembles a star. You can see the radiating points over here, how the points are radiating like a star. So that's the starfish. It is marine, found in sea, and is found crawling on rocky sea bottom and in shallow water. Body is flattered, right? Star-shaped, pentamerous. Let's count. Penta means 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Right? So pentamerous with a small central disc and 5 short and tapering radiating arms. So here is the central disc. These are the short arms which are radiating, and if we look at the arm, each arm, it is tapering, right? It tapers, it narrows down. So that's the tapering arms or the radiating arms. The oral surface directed downwards and bears pentagonal mouth in the central disc, right? So if we look at the other side, the mouth will be present over here. Aboral surface bears large number of short and movable spines, right? Anus is present in the center of the disc, right? So if we now look at these diagrams over here, we can see the central disc over here. In the diagram, we can see the central disc over here, right? And the grooves we can also see clearly, right? A narrow ambulacral groove extends from each angle of the mouth along the midline of the oral surface of each arm, right? So the groove is a kind of depression that would be present. It would originate from the mouth and it extends in the arm, right? So these are the grooves, ambulacral grooves that extends from the mouth, from each angle of the mouth along the midline of the oral surface of each arm. So along the midline is the central line, it will appear. Each groove, ambulacral groove, contains on either side 2 rows of tubular retractile projections, that can emerge out and come back again. These are known as the tube feet or podia. Tube feet or podia. We can see here in the diagram the tube feet or the podia. It can extend out and it can move back to its place, right? That is a retractable, right? So those are the tube feet which helps in movement. Podia is related to legs. The latter are connected, that is the podia, that is the tube feet. They are connected with the water vascular system and helps in locomotion. It helps in food capture and respiration. Sexes are separate without sexual dimorphism. So sexual dimorphism, that is, you cannot differentiate between a male and a female. So that's about the starfish, and we move to our next specimen, which is again very easily seen during the rainy season, and here this is the frog, right? So frog is the next specimen, and the scientific name of frog is Rana tigrina, right? It is a chordate, right? Belongs to phylum Chordata, right? So backbone is present. Subphylum is Vertebrata, so the vertebral column is present. And again, now we come to the class, that is Amphibia, right? So it belongs to class Amphibia. Rana is the genus and species is Tigrina. Commonly seen during the rainy season in ponds, pools, lakes, rivers and humid places, right? So wherever there's water in the rainy season, we can see the frogs jumping. It has a somewhat triangular, bilaterally symmetrical body with head and trunk. So now if you look at the shape, roughly triangular shape it has, right? Roughly triangular shape. Bilaterally symmetrical, can be divided into 2 equal halves, right? And the body has head, it has the trunk, and the lower region is the tail region, right? The tail region is not there. So head and trunk. The skin is dark green. If you look at the frog, of course, when it is much more in mud, so it looks dirtier, it looks brown. But originally the color is dark green with black patches. Now, if you look at the frog here, you can see these black patches that are there, right? So black patches covered with mucus, so it is slimy. The skin color may change in accordance with the environment, right? Eyes, we look at the eyes here. Here the eyes, these are the eyes, and the eyes are bulging eyes, right? So it protrudes out. You see, the eyes are bulging eyes, and the eyes, they protrude out. So that's the bulging eyes, and there are no eyelids present. Like if we talk about ourselves, our eyes are covered with an eyelid, but here the frogs, they do not have an eyelid. Underwater, eyes are protected by a thin membrane called the nictitating membrane. It's a transparent membrane that immediately covers the eyes when the frog is in water. So it protects the eyes. A circular eardrum or a tympanic membrane is located behind each eye, right? So the eardrum or the tympanic membrane is there, and just somewhere here you can see behind the eye here is the tympanum or the tympanic membrane that is present. Tympanum is related to hearing, right? So we have an external ear as well. So here this is the tympanum or the tympanic membrane that is again related to hearing. The trunk bears two pairs of limbs. Now let's look at the limbs. Here this is one pair. We can see some part of it here, and this is the hind limb, right? So two pairs of limbs, four limbs, and here are the hind limbs, right? So these are meant, these help the frog in jumping, leaping, as well as swimming. Sexes are separate, males and females are separate. Males have vocal sacs located a little behind the mouth, right? So in the front region, in the ventral region, the vocal sacs are present, and vocal sacs are only present in the males. So during the breeding season, the males develop the nuptial or the copulatory pad on the first finger of the forelimbs, right? So the first finger of the forelimbs, they will develop a pad. So that is during the breeding season, right? So that's about the frog. You've seen the specimen, and now we move on to the next specimen, which is the house lizard. If you look at the lizard here, it is looking a little bit famished and we can say undernourished. Famished and undernourished. Look at the skin, we can see the wrinkles here in the skin, right? So Hemidactylus is the scientific name, and this is the wall lizard, again belonging to the phylum Chordata. Subphylum is Vertebrata. It belongs to class Reptilia, right? So Hemidactylus is the genus. It is the common wall lizard, that means the lizard that is found in our houses. About 8 to 14 centimeter long, brown color, and is distinguished into thick, flattened head. You can see here, this is the head region, thick, right, short neck. The neck is not very long, so a very short neck. This is the neck region, and you can see a large trunk. This is the trunk region. Tapering tail, the tail tapers down, right? The head has pair of eyes. Here these are the eyes present. It has a pair of eyes. You can see here the two eyes that are present, right? And it has movable eyelids, so it can move. Nostrils and ear openings are present. Nostrils is present over here at the tip, and the ear openings or the tympanum here, they are present in this region, is the tympanum that is present. The skin is dry and covered with minute scales. The tail with annular whorls of scales. You can, if you look at the tail of the lizard, you can see whorls or some lining. It is segmented basically. If we look at the tail, if you look at the diagram here, we can see these segments, and I'm sure you all must have seen these whorls or the segments in the tail, right? And I'm sure you also know that if you pull out the tail of the lizard, the lizard can regrow its tail, right? So if it is broken off, that is autotomy. The breaking off of the tail is autotomy, right? So it can, it can protect itself like this. Tail is broken off, it can move ahead, leave the tail behind. The tail will wriggle for some time, and then it would be lifeless, and the lizard can regrow its tail. So limbs are 4 in number. Again here you can see these are the 4 limbs that are present and these are the hind limbs. So limbs are 4 in number with 5 clawed digits. So if you look at the digits over here, you can see the digits over here. These are the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 clawed digits are there. The limbs have adhesive vacuum, right? So if we talk about those glass table tops, right? They are rubber, some rubbers that are put that clamps itself nicely and the tabletop does not fall off. So those kind of vacuum pads are present even in the limbs of the lizard that helps it, stick to the wall. Otherwise it would fall off. Right? Now this helps the lizard move on the wall. So that's about it for all the specimens, and the rest we will do in the next video. So please go through these videos, and you'll have to prepare the file on punch papers for all the specimens that you see and that we do. So all that we've done today is a part of the revised syllabus, and a little more we'll do in the next class. That's all for today. Thank you.